Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Selena. Thank you. Now, guys, of course, you know we have 2 halls, and I trust that everyone has their booklet and agenda and understand what is going to be presented in both those halls. And we're not going to waste much time. Just a few housekeeping rules. As I had said earlier, for those who have not come into the hall, both the lecture or presentation halls sandwich the dining area. So hall number 2 will be on the other side of this floor. All right, so please make sure that you know which hall you're attending for presenters and participants alike. And if you have any query, feel free to, you can of course ask me and whoever it is that you see who has a lanyard. Unfortunately, they haven't given me my lanyard. Somebody already asked me whether have I registered or not. I said, yeah, of course. Last year I registered. Well, we're going to start off today here. And now, before I start off, you guys have already read what's going to happen in Hall 2 and Hall 1. So the presenters and everyone there will be preparing themselves. So you can make your way in sometime. But for Hall 1, where we are right now, we're going to start very shortly with a forum. And generally, if you're attending this conference and exhibition for the first time, it is a very participative, almost 3-way communication style of wisdom sharing. And one of those concepts will be introduced in a manner of a forum where experts or panelists come up and an expert moderator will be discussing with them. And of course, as per decorum, questions and answers will be asked and answered accordingly. So feel free to put up your hand, participate. You know, always don't be afraid of asking any question to these experts now. All right, I won't take up much of your time. I would like to call upon Dr. Lee Hui Mei, an ex-clinician turned product manager at Sunway Healthcare. Please put your hands together for Dr. Lee Hui Mei. She's our moderator for the next forum, which is From Doctors as CEOs, What It Takes to Lead Healthcare Today. Put your hands together again, guys. Thank you very much, Dr. Lee. Come, all yours. No, they will prepare everything now. Just have a little chat. Yeah, just introduce yourself.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Excited to be here today. Of course, first and foremost, thank you, Selena, for inviting me. It is a truly great honor to be here today as a moderator, because previously I was one of the panelists. But again, thank you. For today, for our first session, we will have a very strong lineup of panelists who are the healthcare leaders of today, right? So these are the people that have swapped their ORs and their clinics for boardrooms. And I believe that many of you over here are very eager to know, what does a doctor do how do we transition from clinician to leadership role as a CEOs? What do they do? How do we get there? And I think we will take you through the three-part journey. One, of course, the transition itself, and later on will be the core challenges that are faced, and last but not least, of course, what they are viewing as the future. So without much ado, let me just introduce and bring on board our panel. Can we welcome our panelists? Let's have Dr. Razman on board. Thank you. So Dr. Razman is the CEO of AVISENA Specialist Hospital. And as I believe he has grown with AVISENA for all the way to the corporate ladder, all the way to his CEO. Welcome, Dr. Razman. Okay. Next online, can we bring on board Dr. G? So Dr. G is the CEO of the Damansara Specialist Hospital, and with the MBA with the PhD in nursing administration, she brings on board a depth of clinical skills as well as his strategic skills. Have a seat, have a seat. Next online, of course, we have Dr. Amelia Siah. founder and also CEO of AGLOW Clinic, a leading aesthetic and also a skin specialist clinic in Malaysia. And last but not least, Dr. Avi. Dr. Avnesh is a very interesting panelist that we have here today. He is a global thought leader as well as the CEO, coach, and mentor, and he will lend multiple insights for today's session. Let's give them another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. All right, welcome. Okay. Oh, do you have a mic? Yes, Dr. Avi. Okay, sharing is caring then. Okay, so disruptive doctors have bring on board, collected all the minds and the young, eager doctors in the room here today. So they are looking towards alternative pathways, like aside practicing medicine. And I believe in today's day, what we realize is that clinicians to leaders is a tough role. So maybe when we start off, what we can do, maybe we start with you, Dr. Razman. Introduce yourself. What was that triggering moment, the aha moment that brings you about to decide to, I'm going to put my scalpel down, my pen down, I'm going to join the boardroom, open my spreadsheet?
Hi, everyone. A bit nervous this morning. I've been in the industry for the past 22 years. I graduated in 2003. I've worked in UK, and I came back and joined ONG department, Hospital Tengku Abdul Rahimah Kelang. I joined AVISENA Specialist Hospital for the last 17 years, and the last 6 years has been my latest role as the CEO of the hospital. It did not happen overnight. While I was in ONG Klang, I was the MYC. When I joined AVISENA Hospital as the ED doctor, I became the MYC again. And in fact, I would say I was at the wrong time, at the wrong place. I was given the role, actually. I given the role, provided that I complete my MBA, I'm willing to learn the rope, and it took me a few years to actually being part of the junior management before I was given the role. So I'm not too ambitious to become the CEO, but I'm willing to take the challenge, and I have to change my mindset. That's the key role in being a CEO.
Okay, that's an interesting journey. Is it the same for you, Dr. G?
Hi, good morning, everyone. So I'm a different doctor here, I must say that. So perhaps in the morning I told Dr. Lee as well. I'm a nurse by background. So I'm a PhD doctor. But I think the journey almost the same. Okay, to share about me, I born as a nurse in KPJ, and I'm CEO now in KPJ also. Okay, the role from clinical to management is very exciting. So we will manage patient at clinical level, and we manage people when we become a CEO or operational level. So quickly answer to what the challenge. The challenge is year and year. So if you decided something you want to do, you challenge yourself. So that's what the biggest challenge that I had from the position of nurse, deputy chief nursing officer, and I want to take a role of operational manager. So I literally challenge myself. And nothing much else if you already committed yourself and being very passionate about what you want to do. So you can, how you lead, how you treat the patient, you're going to treat the people surround you. So that's the biggest thing. So challenge is within us.
We would like to explore the challenges later on. But before we go there, Dr. Amelia, so I believe your journey is a little bit different from the rest, right? So while Dr. Razman and Dr. G here basically climbed the corporate ladder and to be where they are today, you have founded and started and grew AGLOW Clinic. Maybe you can share with us a little bit on your journey.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share my journey. My name is Dr. Amelia. I'm the founder and CEO of actually AGLOW Medical Group. I started with AGLOW Clinic, which is now a 19-clinic chain nationwide. But currently in my clinic chain, we also have healthcare clinic, we also have professional medical skincare product, and AGLOW hair division that is into hair restoration and hair transplant. So my journey is a little bit different. When I was in my medical school and also going through housemanship in Hospital Kuala Lumpur, I had already set my goal that one day I would start my own business, being a founder and being a leader and not just a doctor. So currently my role is not just a CEO. I still see patients. I still dedicate my 3-day-a-week time to see patients, which a lot of people ask me, why do you still want to see patients when you are already managing a big group, you know, doing well in business? But I truly believe being a doctor, I need to serve. I need to contribute back to people who need my clinical knowledge and experience. So my biggest challenge being a founder and CEO as well as a doctor is that I need to juggle my time. Not only being a doctor and CEO, I'm also a mother, I'm also a doctor, a daughter and a spouse. So every single day I am juggling time, and I just touched down in KL 3 a.m. earlier after attending an award dinner. So biggest challenge is when I am a leader, no matter what decision I make in business, people criticize or people compliment. Whenever we are a doctor, some would say that you are a doctor, why are you into beauty business? Why are you doing aesthetics? You are not really a clinician. So whatever we do in life, people criticize. So I have learned that if you are adamant in doing something and achieving big things that impact people positively, don't care. Just do what is the right thing and disregard positive or negative things, just go all the way. That's my words.
Wow, that's really inspiring. So I guess what we can see over here is like all these 3 panelists is like very driven. That's the vision that they are achieving, right? So we do see there is a growth and there's a call for physician leaders along the way. And for a very specific reason, I believe. And this question, next question, I will pose to Dr. Avi. So Dr. Avi coaches a lot of CEOs to be as well as mentor organizations and senior leadership team. Maybe the question I will pass to you is, what do you think about the medical background that gives these leaders over here the unique advantage to lead an organization at a senior management level?
Hi everyone, Dr. Avi. So I run 2 companies, Dr. Avi Global and ZEROCEO. Dr. Avi Global, I essentially coach and consult to CEOs all around the world, worked with about 200 organizations in 20 countries. And ZEROCEO is effectively an AI coach for CEOs. So ultimately we help CEOs grow their business revenue, help them feel more aligned to their values, and ultimately also make sure that they have a strong work-life balance. So over this time, I've probably helped maybe 500 to 1,000 CEOs, founders and CEOs. And I made my own transition as a doctor in 2004. Right? So you can, showing my age right now, right? And I've been through many transitions. So I've had 8 companies, many different industries from film, healthcare. I was a senior executive at Pfizer, so I've worked in the corporate sector and so on as well. So one of the sort of hardest things about the transition is actually recognizing what you want to do, right? The why is quite clear. You're going to continue to help people, and doctors never really lose that why. But the shape in which you want to do that is very difficult to figure out, right? And we often don't get coached this stuff. That's why programs like Disruptive Doctors are excellent, because it's taking you through a stepwise process. But ultimately, some doctors want to make more money, and they want to get out of healthcare. That's the truth, right? Some doctors want to continue to ease suffering, but they don't actually know what environment would suit them to do that, whether it's clinical, non-clinical, or so on. Some doctors want to leave altogether and do something completely different. And all of them can be successful or unsuccessful. I think one of the things that I find that's strong with physician leaders is a few things. One is we're trained on structured thinking, right? So you got a problem, how do I take a history, how do I make a diagnosis, how do I test for it, and so on. Those skills are very useful in every profession. In fact, if you look at all the great tech companies and how quickly they've grown, all of them, all the tech leaders, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, so on and so forth, all have structured thinking in their sort of neural patterns, right? So that's a strong element. The other aspect of medical training is knowing how to communicate with people to some degree, right? So you've taught some basic level of, or basic to moderate level of communication skills. That's also an advantage. But there are significant disadvantages also of being a physician leader. One is when you come from a doctor background, and this is the reality, there is a certain ego and identity attached to that, right? You come from a place of authority, and sometimes you haven't learned humility, and you haven't learned how to be a beginner again, you know? And so sometimes you need to kind of decouple your labels and your sort of preconceived notions. So there are certain things that are an advantage, and I could keep going into this and do a full lecture, but it's important to recognize what your blind spots are and what are the areas that you need to develop as well, right? So that's where people like myself or other sort of forums can help as well.
That's really insightful. Actually, we could resonate with a number of the points, especially on the point where coming from a medical background, most doctors, like you said, we think in a very structured manner because in our day-to-day tasks to manage patients and all, we have to be a little bit more meticulous in that sense, right? But again, I guess when you come out and step up as CEOs, at a management level, there are things that you need to unlearn as well. So maybe Dr. Razman, do you think you agree with that statement, and maybe you can share with us whether or not there are things that you require to unlearn along the way?
Well, again, I echo with Dr. Arvin. A lot of points been highlighted earlier. When we change our role as a physician to administrator, again, the mindset must be correct. As a clinician, you have certain duty, you have certain responsibility towards your patients. You have to ensure the diagnosis is correct, you have to treat them holistically. As administrator is more or less the same, but in different way. As a CEO, your main challenge is to ensure that you work with people. You have to treat them as human. Everyone is different. A specialist has different character, different ego. Your senior managers have different character. Your low-level staff have different expectation. It is how we engage with them, ensure that all their needs and requirements are met. That is the most important thing. And I find it is challenging to actually switching between meeting specialists to senior managers to normal staff. Different language, different intonation, everything is different. So our soft skill as doctors is the key role in managing people.
I couldn't agree more, really. So Dr. G, do you share the same challenges as Dr. Razman as well? Maybe you can bring us through.
I think I should agree with both of these gentlemen. Basically, when we have the right purpose with the correct intention, I think we can manage. So the role of clinician is basically managing one person at one point. So when a patient admitting to the hospital, they manage, of course, they identify the problem, they diagnose the patient, they start treatment, they start to manage the patient. Whereby being a leader, a hospital leader, we are not managing one or one family, we will manage the entire hospital. So communication being the key, and the purpose of what we want to achieve will be the most top. And then our intention. So by any chance, we are not jeopardizing patient. So we still have very close connection with the patient, but we are seeing things from different way already. It's more into, making a system entirely focusing on patient now. So as one person focusing on the patient, the entire system will start to focus on patient. As a CEO or leader, our job and our purpose will be how we make the entire team to focus on the patient. So it's not one man or one person decision, it's going to be entirely the entire team. So when we're looking into the hospital per se, to be different from other businesses, hospital we have, of course, our doctors, the most important people, I would say. And then the next level will be the nursing team and allied team. And then we have support team. So they plays very different roles in one patient's life. So as a leader, we need to connect that. So we can't see them differently. The function of each of them can be different. But we, the one, take the responsibility to connect them so that the entire care will be aligned and we can develop and we can, of course, the end process, what we need, we want to heal a patient when a patient comes to our hospital. So when we see I wouldn't say it's a challenge, it's going to be a team effort, and how, as a CEO, we bring the team together. So we can't have the communication will be same, but in a different way, which I agree with Dr. Razman. But this is the most important responsibility of the leader of the hospital. And also, at the same time, we also need to make sure that we are putting the right people at the right place. Some can be top to bottom, and some approach can be from bottom to top. We need to acknowledge both also. So being a clinician, as a leader, we can connect the dot very well. So we understand what will be the patient needs, what can be the operational needs, and what can be the support needs. So it will be challenging because we are managing people. Okay, and another challenge, a CEO need to manage the facilities also. It's not only people, the entire facility, we need to become an engineer sometime. We need to become, a cleaner sometime, a security sometime. So again, connecting to each dot. Each dots is something very important. Besides that, as a leader, to have the entire knowledge, it's another way of looking at things. Just to add on, we always miss the financial part. I think being a business thinking, financial part is very important. The financial part for clinician to learn the financial part also, it's a biggest challenge. But the moment you like the number will start to like you. So it will be something, another excitement. So do we go through the frustration, what we saw in the video, what Dr. Iqbal went through? Yeah, we will go through the frustration, but the moment you learn how to connect it with you and with others, the frustration will become a challenge, become and also we start to live with it already. So I feel in that way, but I think they are giving an awesome, input as well.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank
G.
you.
So I think we are hearing a lot of the need for people skills, for communication skills, and of course, along the way, like Dr. Amelia, you're running a business in a sense, right? So when as a clinician, I think in the past, we're not well trained in the areas of leadership, in the areas of financial management. So can you share with us, apart from the skills that Dr. Razman and Dr. G have said, what are the additional skills like you needed to develop or learn, and how do you get about it in your journey of starting AGLOW Clinic?
Regarding this, I would say that the one very important character that we can develop or to be equipped with is be bold, be courageous. So what happened to me was when I was in my medical school, year 2, I actually applied for deferment in IMU for 1 year to go and do business with my brother. I think this is something that a usual medical student or a doctor wouldn't do. They would see me as alien. Why would you do things like that? Why are you so crazy? But at that time, I made a decision because my brother decided to bring me to this business world, that I got exposed to so many business people doing sales, knowing how to close sales, and how to face with rejection in life, people not buying your product, not buying your business idea. So I was in there for 3 years. I deferred my study for 1 year, full-time in that business, 2 years being part-time. I learned so much. So if you ask me now, I think back, nothing in life is a wrong decision. Every single move is to shape you for your future self. So whatever I am today, whoever I am today, is because of a few things. Number one, natural born character. Of course, I have been a very courageous person, very vocal person. Number two is your family background. So how supportive is your family towards your goal? My mother, I was raised in a single parent family. My mom is a single mother. So she was just a housewife when I decided to do all these things. But she was just there. She wouldn't say negative things to me. She would say, are you sure you really want? But she would in the end support my decision. So even me going into medical school, she didn't even know where my school was. And she just looked for money to pay for my education. So I think the second thing is family support. And the third one would be our experience in life. So a combination of natural character, family background, upbringing, and your life path is how it shapes who you are. So go for it. Don't be afraid. So that shapes who I am in the business world. So I know how to deal with figures, like what Dr. G says. It's very important in business. So being doctors, right, I truly agree that a lot of doctors don't see the financial side. So when we talk about sales, they feel like we are not ethical. But actually in business, in sales, we can still be very ethical. We are all in business. So if we don't get a pay, if we don't charge patient, then we call it charity. But if we are in a business, let's look at figures and let's serve the community.
Okay. No, Dr. Amelia did mention and highlight a very good point. At the end of the day, the healthcare, it is a business, right? It has to be sustainable. So financial acumen is something that we all need to be ready for, especially be it at the management level all the way down to operation level. Even if you were to set up a GP practice per se, you do require to be familiar with financial management. So Dr. Avi, so while our panelists here have mainly go through organic growth, like learning through working, so what I believe most of our audience here as well who are looking at alternative career, how can they go about, where do they start to learn all these upskillings?
Very big question, and thank you so much for all you can see the differences in experiences and growth pathways, right? So I think we're very, very lucky now. When I did it, I was the first person in my entire network of community of family, friends, and I've got like hundreds of people in my family that are doctors and nurses and all that kind of stuff. And then to be the one person that suddenly says, no, I want to do something else, everyone's like, are you crazy? Why are you giving up medicine? Blah, 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 blah. And then years later, several of my cousins are now in pharmaceutical companies and so on and so forth, right? So the transition, I think now is a bit more acceptable than it was 20 years ago. But in terms of how do you get there, like what Amelia said, I made a lot of mistakes in sort of my growth. The one thing that I think I did which was necessary was I did an MBA. Right? And the reason I did an MBA was because I thought I'm academically smart. I used to be good in math in school. I had practiced medicine in the National Health Service in the UK, and then I went halfway across the world and practiced medicine in the Australian health system, and I still found something was missing. I didn't really know what that was. Why am I kind of dissatisfied with where I am today? It wasn't just the environment. There was something else, but I didn't know what that something else was. I remember I was good at math in school. I kept reading the business news all the time. I must be interested in this. How can I explore this further? So I decided to do an MBA, in Queensland. Fortunately, the hospital in Queensland and Brisbane gave me a job. So, and I hadn't still paid off my medical loans yet, and then now I'm taking on a second degree, right? So it's really, really crazy. But fortunately, the hospital paid for my work. I learned through the MBA how to do business, and after sort of scoring distinction in all the subjects, you know, the lecturers were kind of saying, look, you're going to be a captain of industry one day. Just go for it. Just get into business. So how I did that was I thought, okay, well, with a medical degree and with an MBA, what industries can I get into to leverage both? And really at the time, there's only two options, hospital management or pharmaceuticals. And I was in Brisbane. There wasn't much pharmaceutical industry there, so I ended up moving to Sydney. And that's how I made that that first transition, through formal education. But I want to hark back to what Amelia said, which is, you know, one of the things that the MBA was a huge shortfall, and I tell this in every conference that I speak at, is it doesn't teach you sales. And sales is the #1 skill you need in business. Absolutely #1 skill. And they don't teach it. And so when I started going out and founding my first businesses, I got 20 rejections to every 1 yes. And that was extremely painful, right? As a doctor, you have a huge ego, you know, kind of people were queuing up to see you in the past, right? They're always fighting for your time. Now you are chasing for other people's time, and you're asking for money, which is a skill that you don't have, right? So it was very, very humbling. And I think for about 3 years, I was kind of like losing money in my first few businesses. So for about 1,000 days, it was really hard to wake up in the morning. But then that builds up your resilience, and that emotional resilience and that facing rejection, that's, I think, what carries you through to, you know, the next phase of life.
I totally agree with you as well. I think those are the aspects of the social skills that I believe that the future leaders need to empower the younger generations as well to do so, right? So Dr. Razman, in your position as CEO, so you are at a very unique spot to provide a platform and to empower your younger generations of physician leaders, for example. So what are the things that you do at AVISENA to grow the newer generation of doctors?
Well, in AVISENA, we have a proper succession plan for our leaders. We have identified key people based on their educational background. We also look at their character and their attitudes, which we can develop to become the future leaders. For AVISENA, as we are expanding, we are building more hospitals, we need more leaders in the organization. We even have a structured training for them. But I think the most important thing is learning outside of working hours, outside meetings, seeing people, be humble enough to see other people, to learn, reading financial reports, reading annual reports, or even learning on closing sales. That is one of the key factors, I must agree, which I still learning about it. Most importantly is as leaders, we must support our people, make them believe that they can be successful in the future.
Okay, so maybe I open this question to both Dr. Amelia as well as Dr. G. So on your end, do you have a structured system to build your future leaders? And of course, when we talk about future leaders, what are the key traits that you look for in your potential candidate that you think that would make a very successful or a good leader in that sense?
Definitely, I think everyone knows about KPJ. We have 30 hospitals around Malaysia. Structured planning definitely there. So we categorize it for doctors, for nursing, and for other levels of staff. And at hospital level, so we align with our HQ, and we will plan accordingly Okay, and in a public hospital or private hospitals, there's something different. Like private hospital, we have consultants who are the specialists. We have our ER doctors who are working under us, and we do have students who coming and learning. So how to manage? Maybe I talk a little bit more how we plan for what will be our plan for the newly joined specialists and also the specialists who are already there. So it's basically for the specialists, they already set their mind. They already know what they want, but we need to create the collaboration within them, you know, because we will have all type of specialists in our hospital. We need to create the connection with them. That's first important thing. And along the way, they will connect it very well. And whoever newly joined, all the new consultant who joined this category, we need to basically, before we recruit them, we need to understand their needs. So what literally they want. Okay, some definitely want, as everyone said, money is very important, right? So to earn. Some, they want to literally learn by seeing and treating patients. They want to learn. Some, they want to participate in everything. So we understand the needs, okay? Like KPJ, we have this academic health system where all that connected very well. So whoever doctors with us, they are very active in focusing, teaching, healing patient, and also doing research. So this definitely set something for them. So they're not going to stop as a treating patient, so they can explore the other side. They can start to teach, and also they can start to involve in research. But again, to echo what other speakers said, sales is very important. So now something that lacking, whereby the doctors don't understand, they need to do sales. They need to do sales. So we are working in private sector to sustain. It's not to get profit, over profit, to win the market share or what. It's to sustain the business. And we need a lot of equipment, you know, systems that we need to bring in to care for the patient. To care for the patient, to maintain that in the market. Sales is very important. So I hope all the doctors have that mindset of sales, and they can approach it in a different way. Okay, whereby for our ER doctors, not to forget them, they join us as a ER doctors. They are the angels, will be all the time in the hospitals, and they give us a very good support. So we also not letting them aside. They have their succession plan as well. Like in KPJ, we have basically, you know, all the courses, master courses for the doctors. So they are very connected with that, and then definitely they got a clear path what they want to be. So these are the platforms that we need to prepare for everyone, and not forgetting our other level of staff as well.
Thank you for your sharing. So my part is different from KPJ because KPJ is such a big scale hospital chain, right? I'm just a 5-year entrepreneur, managing 24 centers now. So my skill is a little bit different that when I recruit talents, I filter based on core values more than their talents. Because talents, every doctor can treat patient. Every doctor has got some degree, some, you know, masters and this, that. But whereas for me, I focus a lot on core values when I meet with doctors for interview. And one tip is, I have never called such meeting as interview. I like to tell them that I don't interview people because I believe they are also interviewing me. So people nowadays, being the candidate, they also look at the environment, they look at this leader, how this person speaks, and what is the requirement in this company. So I told them that this is a get-to-know meeting instead of interview. So during the meeting, I would focus a lot on their characters, their personality, instead of how academically smart they are, what kind of skills they have. So in my company, I have set top 3 business, our company culture. Also, we call core values. First is teamwork. I believe being strong alone is not enough. So I believe that, you know, even a janitor, even a nurse, even back-end staff, they are all equally important. So I always tell my doctors that we are just holding an occupation, a title, that people are holding a different title. So we are nothing superior than them. Okay? Number 2 core value is problem-solving skill, problem-solving. So when we are in an organization that has so many people, we have politics issue, we have hierarchy issue, I tell them, don't focus on people, focus on problem and solution. So diagnose problem. When they come to me, they don't tell me who make a mistake. They tell me, doctor, I have faced with a situation where this outlet has got this issue. They don't even tell me who. Because if they tell me name, then we are biased. So they tell me issue and tell me the solution. My job is to approve or disapprove or give suggestion. That's number 2. And number 3 is humility. I think Dr. Ravi said a very important point. Managing doctor is not easy because in Malaysia, doctors still think they are very high up there. But I put humility as one of the core values because I want to bridge the non-doctor team and the doctor team to be in the organization effectively, not thinking any party is more superior. So humility is very important. So here I share my, my experience as a doctorpreneur. I have recently posted on my Instagram that throughout my entrepreneur journey, I have listed down top 4 prerequisites if you want to be an entrepreneur or leader. The first is courage. First is be brave to think first. Be brave to think. You don't need money to think. Just be brave. Okay? Number 2 is ambition. Set goal. If you don't even know what you want to be or what you want to achieve tomorrow, then you are just like a zombie, waking up, going to work, So number 3 is skills. Skills is your personal skill. If you want to be an aesthetic doctor, you must have aesthetic doctor skill to make people look good. If you want to be, healthcare doctor, you need to be good at treating, healing, skills. And the 4th would be duplication by being a leader. If you are just good yourself, you can never be big. You can just open your own clinic or just work in a hospital. But if you have leadership skill, that include communication, soft skill, looking at numbers, then you can duplicate and grow bigger. And then recently I added 2 more. Another one is stress resilience. Because you are going to face with people criticizing you. You are going to face with lifestyle of flying here, there, having meeting non-stop and still seeing patients. So stress resilient. So for your information, I'm also a breast cancer survivor. So 5 years ago when I first started the business, the same week, first week itself, I got diagnosed with breast cancer. But from that day until today, I have not stopped working and I'm still building. So that's my sharing.
Ladies and gentlemen, you hear it firsthand. What are the values you look for if, let's say, a CEO is trying to hire you, right? So again, I'll pose it as an open question and also perhaps it's a lot relevant to Dr. Avi, right? You've coached a lot and mentored a lot of CEOs. So what are maybe top 3 defining traits that make them a successful CEO?
That's a very hard question, and I will never answer like a top 3 because I think every single human and CEO is very, very unique and very individual. I think just a few things that I'd sort of maybe just harp on about, and I'm actually interviewing a candidate right after this meeting, and I called it an interview meeting, so I'm going to change that to a get-to-know meeting. But I kind of look for what I call VICC, so values, interests, capacity, and capability. When I look at a candidate, what are their values, exactly as you've said, and there's a specific set of questions and scenarios you need to put someone in, because what people say are their values are not necessarily values, because values come out more in how you behave, right? Every CEO says they care about people, but then when financials are not meeting target, then suddenly different behaviors come out, right? So you really want to watch behaviors more than speak, I think. Interest, have people really got deep interest in a subject matter? And you ask that by seeing how they spend their free time. Because what people are interested in, they'll continue to do in their free time. Companies like Google are very successful because people are innovating and coding in their free time. Capacity, do they have the time? Can they allocate the time to do something? And do they know how to organize time well? And then capability comes down to the skills. There are many, many skills diagnostic tools. We have many skills diagnostic tools. What was really interesting, so we looked at skills, and we particularly looked at skills in Asia for leaders and what's really important. And what was super interesting for me was the number one skill that Asian employees want a lot of is effective and ethical decision making. Right, which is very surprising. And I'll speak out loud. There's a lot of corruption in countries in Asia and Malaysia, and there's a lot of these sort of unethical decision making that occurs. But actually, the number one thing that employees want is ethical decision making from their leaders, right? So how do you teach that skill? Particularly when leaders are stressed and they have tensions. Most CEOs have to decide between, do I make money here? Do I fire some people here? Do I optimize the service here? They've got many, many things. By the way, my wife is also working in the company, or my husband's working in the company. How do I satisfy their needs? So there's lots of variables they've got to solve for. And that's where the values and skills come into that decision making, right? So I think I'd say the number one thing, and you'd see this even amongst whether it's Bill Gates or so on, I'd say two things is one, continuous curiosity and learning is a big skill. Always be curious, always ask questions, and have the humility to learn. And secondly, I would say the ability to ask for help. So for example, here, if you say you have a coach, there is a stigma attached to it. It's like you have a problem, right? Whereas if you ask Bill Gates, Larry Schmidt from Google chairman, all of them say it's mandatory to have a coach. You cannot perform to your best level unless someone is actually picking on your blind spots all the time, and all of us have that. Whereas in Asia, it's still seen as a problem, right? And it's not how people learn. So these are some of the things I think in Asia we need to change for us to really accelerate growth, our own human growth, but also the growth of our organizations.
Thank you, Dr. Avi. We are hearing a lot of, the traits in terms of courage to be different, to pursue your future career. And of course, humility is very important, especially in a leadership position. I think picking up from your point on ethical decision making, right? Very important, especially when you're at the management level. So when, as a doctor, we manage patients, I think it is a smaller scope of work. Whereas when you establish yourself as a health leader in a management position, I believe the decision making no longer just about the human lives. It's also about the company, the organization, right? So I'll open this question to the floor as well. Maybe share with us a case in where decision making becomes a bit hard to balance between the patient outcome versus profitability. And how do you maneuver around it in that sense?
You're asking me first?
I mean,
Start with you.
Oh, okay.
They appointed you.
Okay, so how do you balance sort of patient outcomes, profit, and so on, right? So it really comes down to, and there's more than that, right? Because you're also considering your staff experience in a lot of these. So what we kind of have codified over the years, and I'll call it voice of, right? So voice of customer or voice of patient, VOS or VOE, voice of employee, VOM, voice of management, and the other one is what I call VOSO, which they'll never teach you in any business school, and that is voice of significant other. That is the voice of your husband, your wife, the person you go back to, your friends, that you actually get the real advice from, that influences your decisions. Right? So usually when you kind of, and then there's also data and decision making, which is, more and more, I think doctors use a lot of evidence in decision making. We're seeing a lot of that in management as well, evidence-based management. So that's also a growing discipline, where I think whenever you're making any complex decision, it's really to look at all this VOE, VOS, and so on, and then what I call voice of systems. What is the data telling you? Right? So every situation is very different, but I think there are certain types of leaders where their personalities, so again, I go back to Elon Musk, they're very directive and they rely more on their internal compass for decision making. There are other leaders that are more consultative. They will rely more on consulting with others before making a decision. So it's important to kind of know your style and then kind of improve on your style rather than trying to copy somebody else's style. I think that's really important.
So, I think my style is definitely consulting style because I am a very people person. I'm always in the status of wanting win for everybody. So I have this criteria that I set whenever we want to bring in any new service, new product, that I guide my doctor team or my entire team how to look at, how to decide to bring in a good product or good service to our patients. So the first one would be wow result. So they sometimes tell me, doctor, this thing can help our patient, can give good result, can give good health. But I tell them, good is not enough. I want wow. I want something that can impact a patient's health or a patient's beauty. And number two would be safety profile. That cannot be compromised because we are all doctors. I want something that has got very strong safety profile. And the third one would be profitability. So if we meet the first and second criteria, but it doesn't help the company to earn, or the company doesn't win, then we all lose. Because I cannot pay salary, we cannot run the business. So these three are very important for me to make ethical decision, but still very patient-centric. Yeah, so that's my sharing.
Okay, basically ethical decision I think applies to various situations. So first we connect with patient and profit. Comes to patient and profit, definitely we focus on patient. That is the most important. Doesn't mean we'll run a private hospital, everything about money. So lives come first, we need to treat the patient before we communicate about money or whatever else. And ethical decision also applies to people where we are handling them. In a situation that business is down, here we can't have much focus on how we want to build rapport. We will focus what we need to prioritize first. So there's come ethical decision, but all these need to be communicated. So for our weird behavior sometime, which will happen, we need to communicate. This is the reason behind. And ethical decision to, eliminate some people from our team or repositioning them, also something very tough to do. And of course, the clear communication, the purpose behind all these decisions need to be very transparent, and we must make sure that it's happened and the other side that we are communicating, they understand on that. As a whole hospital, the ethical decision applies to everyone in the hospital and whoever coming, the stakeholders who are coming, and it's applied throughout the entire process. So I think it's the right point brought in, because every day we need to make an ethical decision. So it's another challenge for us, but it never be difficult if we be transparent and we understand our purpose and the intention is good.
I would like to give a different scenario actually. When we run a hospital, we have clinicians, we have patients. The more the surgeon see a patient do a procedure, the higher the risk of developing complications. When complications happen, who should bear the cost? Because as a surgeon, for example, you do a FAST, you charge 3,000-4,000 as a procedure fees. 1 week down the line, patient return with post-op bleed. You still make money. You do the procedure, you charge again. The hospital makes money again. So I think that is, when that happens, it put a bit a difficult spot for me, because I don't feel good charging patients for things that happen as a result of a complication. We can change the scenario multiple times, but at the end of the day, it's value versus money versus patients. And I still believe the patient's right should be our main decision.
Thank you, everyone. I think it is very challenging at the top when you're trying to balance between how do you secure the board members, your investors' profit, at the same time, how do you govern decision-making at ethical level to fight for your rights of your patients. So it is tough, and I think what we can summarize over here is that we do need to understand what are the non-negotiables in your position as a leader, and where are the areas that we can, of course, take a middle ground because you are, at the end of the day, working on behalf of an organization which are running a healthcare service business. Okay. So a quick lightning round before we actually wrap up our session and to open the floor to Q&A. So I think before we will ask each and every of our panel over here. So moving forward, when we are looking towards the future of healthcare, so we are already looking at multiple technologies, multiple new trends in healthcare. Do share with us what are the new technology that you're looking forward to, maybe one that you're afraid of.
Technology.
Either technology or a new healthcare trend that we are looking at. Yeah.
Well, in my organization, we already move into electronic medical record. A lot of data is key in every day. And I believe we have enough data to help the management and the clinician to make decisions. If we, at the same time, we are having issues with insurance, with payers, we can actually manage to reduce the cost by giving alternative medicine, alternative consumables, but at the same time maintaining our margin. By using those data, is achievable now, compared to, I would say, 5-10 years ago, where you have to do it manually, gathering the data and analyzing it. But now, with a few clicks on the computer, it can give a few suggestions on how to actually maintaining the margin. Yeah?
I think AI is a big thing. System is a big thing. Moving, everyone now talking about robots. So I think as the healthcare evolve, we need to evolve together. And as Dr. Razman mentioned also, it's about, having data, right data, as a benchmark for us to plan for the further treatment, for us to do any decision. Beside that, to capture the attention of our people around us, we need to literally involve all this AI in our daily life. So comes to hospital, electronic medical system, the system itself, medical records, nurses management records, everything need to be a system-wise, whereby we don't need to look for a space to literally store our medical records. So that's one. It's saving us. And then, getting all the robots or navigation system in, I think it's create a trust. And also the proven one, definitely the proven one, it create a trust among the patients, the people. And beside that, I think when everyone started to do and we are not doing also is something not right. So we need to move fast and but careful. So everything is needed, but we need to know what we are doing, what we are taking. Either it's going to benefit us or in a way it's going to put us in trouble. I think we need to do a lot of need analysis and we need to go for it, but definitely not in a slow manner, in a speed manner. But that is something very crucial. System, an AI system, a robot system is so much very crucial for us, which will benchmark us differently from others as well.
Talking about AI, in my organization, we have already started using AI scalp scan. We are the first and one and only in Malaysia that scan the scalp using AI system for hair transplant division led by Dr. Ali there. And being a leader, talking about being innovative or being bold, is that we have to constantly go and explore what is being offered out there. So I myself, I've I always, every month I travel for conferences to look at what is happening out there. So what are the technologies out there? So I recently went to China to look at their lab. You know, people used to think China is, very backward, but they are so different now. So I went to see things. So one very important trait that we should have as leader is never stop learning and open up our eyes to see what is being offered out there and bring back to our team for their enhancement.
Okay, so I'm a little bit biased. I'm sort of I see myself as having 10 years more in my career, and I have to make the biggest impact I can make in that time. So we want to help 1 million leaders with our work. And so we created ZEROCEO, which is the CEO decision-making support AI. So we're very, very deep in AI. I've been at the ASEAN AI Summit that the Prime Minister attended a few weeks ago, and the MDX Summit 3 days ago, just to talk about what we're doing. There are 1 million SMEs in Malaysia, and all of them, every single founder in all those SMEs could use an AI to help them with all these tough decisions. Our AI speaks 25 languages: Malay, Chinese, Tamil, English, and so on. So any single problem a startup founder to an experienced CEO has today, we have the answers. We've already programmed them into the AI, right? And after doing this work for like 20 years, I've seen that the biggest difference to any business is the leader's decisions. So that's the one thing that affects 1,000 things. So I'm most excited about our AI. That's a very biased response, but that's really what I think the truth is. And so that's what we're working on and we're excited about. I think the biggest thing you asked, what's scary about AI, and again, I talk about this around the world as well. I think it's a combination of sentient AI, so what people are talking about, artificial general intelligence, artificial super intelligence. It's when the AI starts to figure out, hey, can I run this planet better with humans or without humans? Right? And when that AI figures that out, then that's going to be interesting times. But the biggest problem to today is humans that use AI ethically or unethically.
Yeah.
Right? That's the biggest problem today. Yeah.
It is the future indeed. And we have 5 minutes left, so we will open up the floor to questions from the audiences if you have any burning questions for our panelists over here. Yes. Can we have the...
Hello, I'm Dr. Rauf Haji. I'm assistant professor from Tunisia. This is the first time to be here in Disruptive Doctors. I'm happy to be here. I want to ask my colleagues about how beneficial to be doctors as a CEO, because I'm coming from a country where usually the doctors are the CEO of the hospitals, but since almost 2 decades, now we have only administrative who are the CEOs of our public and private hospital. And in myself, I see that there is a big consequences according to the management of the patient and the management of the healthcare professional in the hospitals. I want to know what is the real difference and what is the real impact of doctors, of being a doctors and knowing the struggles of the patient and knowing the struggles of the healthcare system. How can it can impact the healthcare setting and the healthcare system? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. I think it's a good combo. Doctor, CEO, a person who know the clinical management and the person want to explore the administrative management, and it's worked very well. It's worked very well. So as a doctor to become a CEO, they have 2 different views, but of course the other operational views that they need to learn. But being a doctor, I think it's easy for doctors to learn everything at shorter time period. So what I would say, that's the right combo as a doctor to become a CEO, whereby they can apply all the clinical management thinking from patient to people. So I think the combo part is something very interesting. Yeah. One question.
Actually, as doctors, we are the bridge between the clinical care as well as the business sustainability. I think we understand both side of the coin, which help us to be wiser in making decision. Not every investment, new machine, new technology will bring money to the hospital, but we have to make the sacrifice for the benefit of the patients.
I might try answering that question, and I have a bit more of a controversial view, okay? So sort of, we've looked at studies of doctors who are CEOs and own hospitals, and very, very interesting. So if you look at all the US health systems and who owns US health systems, which are hospital systems, there is a higher correlation of successful outcomes if there's more physician ownership. Right? So hospital leadership teams that have more doctors in America tend to perform better as health systems. Having said that, I've also worked with the Mayo Clinic, spent a couple of years working with them, which is considered the #1 sort of health system in America. The CEOs and most of the senior leaders are lawyers. Okay? Because that health system, the legal aspects of administration are very, very significant to the overall impact. And so that's generally become the new leadership, right, for the Mayo Clinic. I think many doctors shouldn't be CEOs, and some of them become bad CEOs also. So I think it's really up to the individual. As long as the individual, as we've all said, can learn the skills necessary to be a good CEO, can be humble, can learn leadership skills, management skills, and complement that with the clinical skills, that can be very, very powerful. But if they can't learn it or refuse to learn those skills, then it ends up being arrogance. And I've seen that clinical arrogance too many times as well. So it all comes down to how well you learn, I think.
Thank you, Dr. Wee. Thank you, everyone. So we have, maybe we take one more question before we close.
Okay.
Yes.
Hi. Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Avnesh. I'm a consultant in healthcare and medical affairs with Zero Range. Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank the panel. Really learned a lot from your plethora of experiences. I think what I have is more of a comment, because one of the skills I find sadly lacking sometimes is communication. I believe everything begins with communication. So today, when I listen to people speak, and communication is not just about speaking. I think, there's an element of listening. And I'm wondering whether, because obviously, my hair will tell you I came out of medical school a long, long time ago. So I'm wondering whether communication should be a part of our syllabus in medical colleges, because you need healthcare communication, right? So I find this lacking, and I think to be a leader, it begins with, or rather one of the main elements. I like to add another C to Avi's VICC. Another C is communication that's really required, right? And it's practical communication. So just a point for the panel to consider and everyone else here to consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So to wrap up a very good session today. So for all those out there who are looking for a career path to health management, leadership as a role as a CEO, so think of all these 3 C's or 4 C's, right? Courage, communication, alamak lupa. A few others, C's. Okay, so we'll give them a very big applause. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Lee. That was supremely insightful. From leaders directly to you, and even the people who question our leaders as well. Thank you very much for your questions.